All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar. Thank you for registering and well done for deciding to invest in yourselves. This set the tone for the introduction to Facebook marketing for small home businesses. It's a bonus. Video, a recording, and so for those of you who have registered or who have requested to be added to the Destiny Changers group, you will get this webinar recording. But I had already invited others who came through a separate registration process. So yeah, those of you who are on the Destiny Changers group and are not on this webinar, it's still okay. You're going to be able to get access to it. All right, so we are going to just wait maybe 1 or 2 minutes and allow more people to jump in before I switch off my video so that you can really focus on the screen and what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, yeah. Now I think we need to start. All right. I'm going to close my video because I don't want you guys to be distracted by looking at my picture. Just want you to focus on the content of what we are going to be talking about. Oh dear, my son is not feeling well. He's got a bit of a cough. All right. So why is marketing more important than sales or a sales only focus? This webinar really was prompted, even the introduction to Facebook marketing for small home businesses was prompted by some of the mistakes that I made, when I was starting out in business. If I had not changed my stance and focused on marketing instead of sales only, I don't think I would have achieved the level of success that I've realized, up to this point. So this was a very painful learning curve for me, and I don't want you to learn from your pain like I did, from the same pain that I did, since I've already got a way of showing you how it is possible, without coming across as salesy and spammy on your Facebook profile. We are going to confine ourselves to just Facebook as the social media platform, as opposed to many others. There's also Instagram, there's also LinkedIn, in many other social media platforms. But for this purpose of this, this whole focus of this training is going to be focusing and looking at Facebook. All right. So let's just dive straight in to the content of our webinar. All right. So maybe before we talk about that, let me just give you a little bit of my history so that you understand where I'm coming from. I at high school, even at most of my years at college, I was an A student all round, mother of 4 now, and also an MSc degree holder in water resources engineering and management. I've always wanted time freedom, which corporate could not give me. I've always been somebody who wants to do my own things at my own time. If you are that kind of person, you want the kind of freedom that owning your own business and running it from home at flexible hours can give to you. Definitely stay in here so that you increase your capacity of earning and gain back and get back that freedom that you want. So, I came across network marketing. I'm going to be, very candid with you. I'm a network marketer by profession, but what I'm going to be teaching you here, it applies across, most business models, if not all business models. So the fact that I'm in network marketing doesn't mean that, I'm only going to be talking to network marketers. I'm going to have a bias, of course, to network marketers, but these principles that I'll be teaching you, they will apply across. So I saw network marketing in Botswana in 2011. I tried to work it before that, but I saw no results. As a result of that, I decided to quit. But then I returned a year later. But in this 1 year after I had quit, I was not just sitting back. I was studying the industry online. I was learning a little bit more about it, and that is what made me come back. And in terms of passion for product, I couldn't find anything else that I was passionate about, as much as I was passionate about the product that I was with the company that I first joined. So I went back to the same company, and as they say, the rest is history. I had a slow start even when I started the second time, but then my business eventually took off. And then, some issues happened, personal challenges, that challenged my thinking, that challenged my showing up for my business, happened in my life. Life happens to all of us at some point, and sometimes the blow can be so heavy, that it affects your performance even in business. So that's what happened to me. When this drastic, I'm not going to go into the detail of that right now, because that's not the objective of this webinar. So, but now what I've decided is to pick up where I was and grow my business, and it's really picking up and it's growing fast now. And I just want to share the lessons that I learned, as I was growing and building my business. That first time that it was accelerating, I've gone back to using the same principles and tools that I used at the beginning, when I started that first curve of acceleration. So this second wave of acceleration is definitely, quite responsive to those same skills. So you can see that principles never change, even if time moves, and as a result of the freedom, that I have had from owning and running my own business. I mean, as you can see in that picture there, that was me and my 10-year-old son last year in August, when we went to the United States for a whole month, and we went to Disney. It was an amazing time when we spent about 4 days in Orlando, Florida. Prior to that, we had been on a cruise to the Bahamas. I mean, I've been able to build a team of quite excited members, majority of whom are ladies, of course, but we do have quite, a few gentlemen who are doing phenomenal things as well, in the business. So yes, those are my credentials, just to let you know, that what I'm going to be teaching you is not theory, but it's things that I have applied, in my own business as well. So what is it that most people do when they say they are marketing their products on social media? Most people, what I've seen, and I've experienced that with people who are on my, network of connections in Facebook, they post their products or services on their profiles, and they are plain straight up front selling, the products that they are selling. And most people don't like to be sold. People want to decide, to feel that they decided for themselves to buy. All right. Or they will post in groups. There are some groups, of course, which are specifically about selling your product. So maybe on those ones, that's a different story altogether. But there are some groups which are for other forms of interaction besides you posting your products. But you'll find people doing that in those groups as well. And then posting your opportunity in groups, and also on your profile. All these things don't produce as much, if any, results at all as you would anticipate, right? So also, I've experienced people directly inboxing me or sending me unsolicited links and messages, asking me to buy their products and so on. And I'm sure they are not only doing that with me, but they're doing that with a lot of other people. And in most cases, they don't get the results that they're anticipating. So, and also just talking about what your product is, or what your opportunity, your service is, instead of what it does, right? You will see the difference and you'll understand what I'm talking about as we dive deeper into this information. So what are the results that you are getting as a result of all these things that you are doing, which you believe, or you think are going to give you business? People will Google and see if they can find better offers or substitutes of your product or service elsewhere. So in other words, you lose control, you hand over control to your potential customers instead of you managing the whole process of them going through your sales funnel to a point where eventually they buy. All right. So when people, say you are selling, for example, water bottles or a drinking bottle, or you are selling a face powder or whatever it is that your product is, people will always look online and see, can I get a better substitute, a substitute? Can I get a better price elsewhere? Can I get, better service being given elsewhere? And they are not looking for you. They won't ask you directly, but they are going to do their own search. And then also people will Google your opportunity, and they will read both positive and negative stuff about what your product or your company stands for. And in most cases, guess what? They will believe the negative. That is just the default setting of most people's minds, to believe what is negative as opposed to believing the positive stories that they read online. So you don't want people doing their own investigations. You want them to ask for information from you directly. And there is a way of managing that when you're doing your social media. And then also, I've already mentioned, you have no control over the viewing process and the subsequent activity that takes place after they've looked at your information and then looked at alternatives as well. So if you manage the process yourself, you will see that you're going to get more results. It may take time for your results to come, but when they do start coming, they're going to be consistent over a period of time. So what most people desire really in marketing is, especially in our field of network marketing, people, don't like talking to customers or potential clients. They want to generate more leads, if possible, automatically, and prospect less. Prospecting and marketing are two different activities, as we are going to discover. So people reaching out to them, who are ready to buy, that's what people are looking for. But then if you're going to just be posting blindly, hoping like somebody throwing spaghetti onto the wall and hoping that it's going to stick, that is not constructive, and that is not productive marketing, what you will be doing. So essentially, we are saying, let's be focused, let's be strategic in what we are doing. And I just want you to understand the psychology of what, it constitutes a successful marketing philosophy. So a successful marketing philosophy comes from a premise of you, putting out education-based marketing. Now, what am I talking about when I'm talking about education-based marketing? It's where you are giving value before your potential customers have even invested a single penny with you, right? If all that you are posting, on your profile is such that a person only gets value if they buy something from you, then what it essentially means is that you are coming across just as a salesman as opposed to a marketer. All right, so we want to come across as marketers online, on social media. We market, we position ourselves as people who have authority on the subject that we are talking about, such that people then get attracted to you. The other term for what we call education-based marketing is what is called attraction marketing as well, where people are drawn to you because of the way they see you handling yourself and conducting yourself, with them in mind. So in other words, you want to come across as a person who has their interests at heart, whether or not they buy from you. When you are putting your product right into their faces, you are simply shouting to them, buy, or else there's nothing else to talk about. But there is so much that you can do to engage. Remember, when people are on social media, they are primarily there to socialize. So socialize with them, but in a strategic position that is intended to create sales for you. That is the whole strategy of education-based marketing. So what does the education-based marketing result in? It builds trust which is the foundation of all relationships and many buying decisions. People buy from people that they trust, people buy from people that they like. So create that liked image by your audience, and then show them what you are selling. In fact, get them to ask you what you are doing, and eventually you will find that you've created that traction, through consistently showing up as somebody who has their best interest at heart. All right. So in other words, to them, you become a trusted advisor, and they start liking you, and they listen to you, and they feel warm towards you, such that when you are making recommendations, of products or services or opportunities, people will listen to you because they've softened up to you because of the content that you are sharing with them, to build them up as opposed to sell them. All right. So you will see what I'm talking about. Right. So let's look at what happens when you just put online. For example, let's say you put on your Facebook profile or on your status, and you're putting your product, that this is what you're selling, whether it's a dress, whether it's a pair of shoes, whether it's a lotion, or it's a beauty product, shampoo, or whatever. All right. So 97% of the people who will see your advertisement, because that is what it is, they are not looking for your product. They are not looking for your program. They are not looking for your service. So they are busy doing their own thing, and then they come across this, they will just browse through and leave it alone. All right. Only those who are looking for what you are selling are going to buy, and that is only 3% of the population. Right? So 3% of the people who are going to see your information are actually looking to buy, and they've decided, or they are deciding who and what to buy, right? Who to buy from and what to buy. So in other words, they're actively looking for that particular thing for them to buy. So you'll find that it's only 3%. Now, so can we all scramble for 3%? Let's look at the rest of the percentages. In what state are they, compared to, you wanting them to buy your product or service, or maybe also partner with you in your opportunity? 7% are open, but they are not actively looking to buy. So they are considering, but they are not ready to buy right now. Right? So in other words, they need more coaxing, they need more engagement with you, they need more, much as they know they want the product, but they are not looking to buy right now. Right? 30%, I know that they have a problem. Remember, all our products, when people are buying products, there's a problem that they want to solve. So they understand that they have a problem that your product or service or opportunity can solve. They know they need it, but they keep postponing the buying. So even though they know that they need it, they keep postponing the buying. And then 30% are unconscious of the problem completely. So they don't know what they don't know. So in other words, like for example, when you are talking about business opportunity, looking for partners, people to partner with in business, many people are not even aware that they can be business owners while they are still employed. So when you are just throwing it out there that you are looking for business partners, people will look at you and they just look at your material and ignore it, because 30% of the people who will see it, because they are so used to the problem as a norm, so to them being broke all the time is really not a problem anymore. It has become something that they are accustomed to. Because one of the things that I noticed, when I started doing network marketing was, and I was asking myself, where have I been? Or how come I never knew there was this opportunity to be able to create a side income while I'm still in full-time employment? So a lot of people don't understand that they can create such opportunities for themselves. So when you are coming up with an opportunity in front of them, they're like, so what? Because they are just not interested. That's the reality of life to them, that people are broke. When times are hard, people have no money, and that's it, and they leave it as it is. Right? And 30%, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you stand on your head, you stand on the side of your feet or whatever, they have the problem, they know it, but they still will not buy. no matter what you say. So those people, you're better off letting them go. So your focus should be on the 67% that no one is talking to actively. All right. So in other words, even if you talk, even if you put your products online, the 30% who will say no, no matter what, they will never buy from you. There are people who just tell themselves that, I will never buy. For whatever reason, they've just resolved that they are not buying anything from anyone unless they initiate the buying process themselves. All right. So many people, when we are blatant and obvious with what we are marketing or what we are selling, rather, we are only talking to 3% of the people. We are only, all of us will be competing for that 3%. Now, is it worth it to compete for just 3% of a segment of a population, as opposed to the majority, which is the 67%, who could eventually become buyers if they were handled and treated properly and, led through the process of decision making by you creating a relationship with them. So that is the premise on which successful, value-based marketing comes from. So stop competing for that 3%. 3% is too small to be competing for, so it leads to business failure in the long term. So you'll find that a lot of people, end up saying, being in business is very tough. You can't, there's enough people who can buy, but we don't know how to deal with them, or we don't know how to engage them enough for them to end up making a decision to buy. So learn how to reach to the 67% who could eventually buy with sufficient exposure to your information. Show those 60% why they need you and your product, and and why they need you now, if possible. All right. So it's how you package your information that will put that agency into them to purchase your product. So read and recycle your information, listen and let go with no responses, and devour and delete. This is how the 67% respond most of the time. They read and recycle your information without doing anything about it unless you actively engage them. They will listen and let go with no responses unless you actively engage them. They will devour and delete your information without doing anything about it unless you are actively engaging them. All right. So now we are taking it to that next level. Now, what are the two important elements of education-based marketing? What is it that you are doing when you are executing or when you are practicing education-based marketing or attraction marketing? You are giving value to your community. You are teaching them information that solves real world problems for them to a point where they look at you as the expert, such that after you have been communicating and talking to them and they now have that much respect for you, when you give recommendations to say, this is the problem, this is the solution to the issues, and that solution includes or involves them purchasing your product, that is the psychology of marketing. All right. And we are in business to make money, and we've got to understand the process by which people buy. So it is important to wrap your mind and wrap your thinking around that fact that people are there to socialize on social media, but they are also looking for information that can be of value and of help to them. They're looking for ways in which they can create friendships and relationships with the individuals who resonate with the information that they are looking for. And then, of course, you need to position the purchase or setting the buying criteria as well. So you are giving value, but you are not just giving value for the sake of it. There has to be a strategy that you are following. So people will make purchases based on some criteria, and you've got to include that criteria, within your marketing plan. So market so as to influence the criteria by which your potential customers are going to make their choices and their decisions. So, and you also need to position them to buy your product or service on the emphasis of your education-based marketing. So in other words, your content should be, tuning them towards thinking about the solutions that you're going to be offering them, because you're prompting them to be aware of their problems. You're prompting them to also, with that awareness, to realize that you are the person who has the answers to those problems. So learn how to create content that will give value to your potential client, but also is strategically arranged to lead them to the logical conclusion that they need your solution and that they need it now. So you need to leverage, all that information that you have, and you need to be versatile in how you package it and how you dispense it. And you also need to be effective in terms of how you communicate with your potential audience. So in other words, this is just a teaser, ladies and gentlemen, for you to understand what we are going to be diving into, when we get into the introduction to social media for small home business owners. This is, the kind of thinking that I want us to go into the whole program with. That's why I decided to put this out to you prior to the main training that we are going to be doing, so that as we dive into that training, you've got this background and understand when we are now talking about the tactics and the activities that you're going to be doing, there is a framework on which you are premising that. All right. So in conclusion, we are saying know your target market. Obviously, you won't know what to talk about unless you know you and understand your target market and their problems and challenges as well. What is it that they want to be solved for them? Position yourself as that authority who can solve those problems for them. And then position yourself as the go-to person in addressing those problems and challenges through the value content that you are putting out with a selling strategy. So every post that you are putting out, have a call to action that is going to create potential customers for you. So you need to understand that the majority buy after a while of interaction, not just directly like that, right? People buy after a couple of times of interacting. Have you seen how people, ladies will understand me when I talk about this. A person passes through the same shop looking at the same item. They know they want it, but they are still in the valley of decision or valley of indecision, whichever way you want to look at it. And until such a time, and sometimes they might not even want the salesman to talk to them in the shop. They just want to look at it and compare maybe with the next door, with another place where they've seen, the material. So in other words, by engaging them yourself, you are, keeping them within earshot of what you are able to do for them, so that when they are making a decision to finally buy, they will buy from you. All right, very exciting indeed. So what are we going to be talking about in the introduction to Facebook marketing for small home businesses? We are going to be talking about your profile and your positioning and branding on Facebook. Very exciting indeed. We are going to look at the common profile mistakes that people make on day one, and then we'll look on brand about, we'll keep these things short, so that's it down, to this degree. Branding in your fan pages, do you need a fan page or you can do without a fan page? And what are we talking about when we are talking about branding? We need to understand that. Positioning yourself, posting for profits on your social media profile or your Facebook profile. We are going to be talking about the kind of posts that will attract the people that you are looking for, and then of course the profile reviews as well that we are going to be doing, and then we will dive deeper into you really looking at your target market, who they are and how to engage them as well. So especially we'll be focusing on the engagement, because the focus, the assignment that I'm going to give you today after this, watching this webinar, is going to look at your target market in a little bit more detail. So we'll keep it brief and to the point. During these 5 days, it's going to be exciting, and then it will be up to you whether you want to take it to the next level or not. All right, so this is your homework now. So every time I do a webinar, I don't leave my audience without an action for them to do, because that is what will create the success. It's not the knowledge that creates the success. Knowledge is just potential if it is in your head and you're not using it. All right, so I need you to apply the information that we have talked about. So for your homework, identify your target market. Who are the people that you want to talk to? Right? We will dive a little deeper during the course, but let me see what you can come out with, as you get into the group, because I'm going to post this video, into the Facebook group. So when you see this video, leave a comment under the link that will lead you to the video, so that you can just share your experience about identifying your target market, and list once you've decided who you are talking to. Are you talking to women only? Are you talking to men and women? What age group? What kind of people? What are they doing? Are they professional individuals? Who can buy your product and all that kind of thing. Then list their problems and challenges, and then start thinking of the kind of content that you will create in order for you to keep them, spellbound and listening to everything that you are telling them, to a point where eventually they will ask you for solutions, or when you propose the solutions, they're going to be receptive to them. All right. So I hope you found this very useful, ladies and gentlemen. Please invite people. We still have a couple of days before we start, and they can get value, through getting to listen to this video before we start on Monday. So it's going to be an exciting time, just sharing this information with you. This is information that will really, really transform and change your marketing on social media, especially on Facebook in particular. All right. Have a good day. Good night. And thank you for joining the call, those who were in live, and others. Of course, you will see the recording when it gets onto the Destiny Changers group. Bye.